This video is going to show you how to outline and write your first argumentative paragraph. We're going to go over the instructions. I'm going to show you the formula for how to write a paragraph. I call it the Big Mac because you got two pieces of evidence. And at the very end, we will go step by step and do the outline together. So if you are panicking, I would say don't worry. You have, I think, the steps over here. And if you did your homework, which was the Flipgrid debate outline, you should have a lot of your ideas, I think, built out already. So this is almost the exact same thing as the debate. You just got to add and polish a couple more things. So don't worry too much. I'm going to show you how it works. Let's begin by going over the instructions. This is on page 1. So the claim is American schools are doing enough to welcome students from all cultural backgrounds. We have been talking about that claim for the last couple of weeks. We've been reading about it and arguing about it. This week, you're going to write a well-structured paragraph defending, challenging, or qualifying the claim. Your paragraph should include at least two examples or pieces of evidence from the reading or your life to support your answer. So whatever you believe, you want to have evidence to back it up. You're going to outline the paragraph in class today, and you may copy ideas from your Flipgrid video, and you will write the paragraph in class tomorrow. So those are the instructions. Let's move on to the paragraph formula. So you might remember in quarter 1, we talked about this thing called quote sandwich. And part of why we talked about that is that when you write a paragraph, you want to remember all the pieces you need to have. It's kind of, I think, like building a burger. If you have the meat, the vegetables, and the bread, and you know what order they go in, you can really, I think, build something, I think, strong. So the same thing goes for, I think, a paragraph. Even if you have two pieces of evidence, you have the exact same formula, but you're gonna add a couple more things. Kind of like how a Big Mac is a hamburger, but I think you have, I think, a slightly different structure. So you're gonna begin with your topic sentence, and then you're gonna have your first piece of evidence to back it up, and you wanna have some background before and some commentary after. So context, evidence, and commentary is always the order you go in. In the middle, you want to have a transition sentence. And that's because when you have two ideas, that transition helps connect them, hold the whole thing together. You could say, furthermore, this is added, furthermore, this is expanded by the fact that blank. You could say, on the other hand, we should consider, I think, this other idea. However, this is not totally true because blank, So I think figure out, I think, a word you could use to hold those two ideas together. And then you move on to your second piece of evidence, and context, evidence, commentary as always, and then the conclusion at the end. So I would definitely compare, I think, these two things, compare the structure you'll use, and look at the hamburger. They are very similar. So now that you're ready, let's go ahead and move to the outline. This is the part you'll work on in class today. It is very important to do so that you are ready to write tomorrow. And I'm gonna show you how to do it step by step. Now, as a reminder, you may copy and use ideas from your Flipgrid video. So if you have, I think, your old outline from Friday when you have to record your video, you can totally copy, I think, parts of it into your new outline. But I'm going to pretend that I didn't do it so I can show you step by step. So the first step is to write your topic sentence. So this is where you choose your stance. Do you defend, challenge, or qualify the claim, and why? For example, if you defend, you could say, American schools are doing enough to support students from all backgrounds because number one and number two, they're doing enough to support students from all backgrounds. because they're improving diversity and they're hiring more teachers. You know, that's kind of, I think, like 2 reasons why you believe in that opinion. In my case, I qualify, so I would probably be in the middle. And I would say, although it's true that schools in America are becoming more diverse, it is also important to consider, I think, how much work needs to be done to welcome those students. So in my case, I'm in the middle. I would say that schools are becoming more diverse, but like, I don't think that means that they are welcoming all students yet. So that's part of why I chose that, I think, opinion. So whatever you believe, whether you, I think, defend, challenge, or qualify, you can choose your opinion and then use one of the stems to write your topic sentence. I'm actually gonna go delete these because I don't need them anymore. But I have my topic sentence. I'm going to move on to my first piece of evidence. So that is, I think, your first, I think, example from the reading or your life to back up your claim. You might notice that the stem here is different. It says one example to support this comes from text number blank, which is about blank. I would say that you want to be careful about using, I think, like my example or I think in writing, because in academic writing, you want to have a more professional voice. So this is, I think, a stem you can use to, I think, sort of get around that. I would say my first example comes from text number 1, and those are in your readings. And I would say text number 1, which is about the number of students of different races in America. So that was the fact sheet, I think. That list of facts about, I think, how much more diverse schools in America are becoming. And I forgot my quote, but I'm gonna go back to my debate actually, because I think I had it there. But I could say, as the author writes, in 2020, there'll be more children of color than white children in America. And I remember the author of that was the National Center for Education Statistics. So that's the NCES. I'm gonna put NCES, and then the page number was page 2. So there is, I think, my evidence and my citation. And lastly, I'm going to write commentary. How does the evidence connect to my opinion? So I could say this evidence connects to my opinion because, or I could say this evidence is important, interesting, or insightful because. I'm going to go with the second option here. And I'm going to say this evidence is important because it shows that American schools are becoming more diverse. I would say that we think of, I think, sort of white students as the default majority, but in the future, and even now, I would say that I think Black students, Latino students, Asian students, and students of all races are becoming a bigger part of our schools and our society. So there you have it. I have some background for my evidence. I have my actual quotes, and then I have my commentary to connect it back to my big idea. I'm gonna now move on to my transition sentence. And let's go back to, I think, that outline. This is kind of the middle bun. If you have Big Mac, you know, I think those things are messy. And that middle bun is really important because without the middle bun, the whole thing kind of falls apart. So you wanna have this part, it's very important. So you want to use one of these transition words to write a sentence and connect your 2 pieces of evidence. So my first one is about, I think the number of, different races in America. And my second one is more about my personal life. And in my opinion, these 2 things, I think, like, kind of come from different perspectives. So the best word here would be however. But if you have 2 things to go together, you might say adding on, or similarly, or furthermore. So it depends on, I think, like the connection you find. But I think in my case, my two ideas kind of, I think, like come from opposite sides. So I'm gonna put however. So I'm gonna say however, um, I think, however, just because I think schools are becoming more diverse does not mean that schools, I think, always welcome students from different cultures. And I would say at that point, you can move on from the transition to, I think, your second idea. I'm going to talk about my life. So my evidence does not come from a reading, but it does come from my life. And I'm going to say more specifically, I think I think the time I think the reason why I became a teacher. And obviously at this point, normally you'd have a quote for your evidence, but you can't really quote your life. You know, I think like it's your life. So I'm gonna put it into my own words, and I'm gonna say, what am I gonna say? I'm gonna say when I was in high school, things were, I think, very different from how they are, I think, now. I had teachers, you know, who I think saw classmates sort of make fun of my eyes. And there's this, I think, stereotype that I think that Asian students have like small eyes, so you know that's kind of the joke. So I think in my Asian eyes, and I think didn't do anything about it. I had teachers who I think were homophobic, who I think joked that I think, you know, being gay was, I think, something that would, I think, send people to hell. So when I was in school, I think these were, I think, attitudes from teachers and adults that didn't make me, I think, feel welcome. And it made me, I think, sort of want to be a teacher because I knew, I think, that it can really hurt to be excluded from your school community. And I would say that evidence connects to my opinion because I think I still hear from students who feel the same way I did. I think maybe they didn't feel, I think, welcome in middle school. Maybe they still, you know, don't feel welcome in LPS. And if that's the case, I think that clearly shows we still have, I think, more work to do if all students truly feel welcome. Or I think truly need to feel welcome. So that's kind of the other end of it, you know. I think my life story, I think, is kind of my second evidence, but I think it kind of helps show the bigger picture, so I'm going to add it there. And last thing, really quick, we're going to move on to the conclusion now, is when you combine these two ideas, what do they show, right? So this is the same thing that you did in the Flipper debate. I think you had two ideas and then you combine them together. So in my opinion, I would say overall, these two pieces of evidence, they can, I think, expand or build on, they can confirm or prove, they can complicate each other, or they can contradict each other. I would say, in my opinion, my two ideas complicate each other. You know, I think they show how, I think, like, difficult I think this issue is, but they also help, you know, build a bigger picture. And when we look at them together, they show that it's not enough to, I think, bring students of all races into schools. I think teachers, students, and schools all need to do the work to make sure people are included and welcomed. And if you want to do what I did, I think you have to stem over here. Overall, these two pieces of evidence expand, confirm, complicate, or contradict each other. And when we look them together, they show that link. And there you have it. That is my entire paragraph. I just did the entire outline. So I hope that watching this was helpful, and I hope that you have, I think, a better idea of how to approach it now. And just remember one more time that you may copy or use ideas from, I think, your outline. So if you have your old ideas, feel free to, I think, go back and use them again. That's part of why I made you do the debate first, was I knew that this would be helpful for people. But otherwise, best of luck. Y'all got this. I believe in you. And I'm always here if you need more help. So best of luck on this. And I'll see you tomorrow when we write the paragraph in class.